So one question I'm constantly being asked is, what loss recovery systems do you use? I'm going to talk about that in this video. Click here to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get instant notification of new videos as they're released. So yeah, loss recovery systems. They are something that I simply do not subscribe to. Why is that? Well, at the end of the day, if you do a trade or a bet, you're seeking value from that position. So for example, if you bet something at, I don't know, threes, then it has to have a better chance of that bet winning than the odds suggest. If you trade, say for example I lay 0-0, or I back 0-0 or something, then there has to be a demonstrable edge for me to take that position. If that bet loses, then it's really just a balance of the positives, the winners that I get, against the losers that I get. There is no process of recovery. I don't suddenly start saying, well, if this happens, then do this, and then do that, and do this, and then change that, and modify this, and put that over there, and then do this. That does not happen. I take a position based upon a trading plan. I execute against that trading plan. It wins more frequently than it loses, and that's where I make my money. And that is how you should do it as well, because if you have a loss recovery system, generally anything actually, I believe, with the word system in it, always goes ding ding and rings alarm bells with me, because you're looking for a process, not a system. And if you have a loss recovery system, all you're doing effectively is just chasing your losses. So, you know, the classic chase your loss system is the martingale. So it's like if you lose on the first one, you double your bet, and then hopefully you'll win it back on the second one. And all loss recovery systems work the same way, in that you're chasing losses. You're not influencing the position, the bet, the trade, whatever you're doing, you're not influencing that. You're not taking value, you're not getting value out of it. All you're doing is trying to avoid a loss. And that is the biggest mistake that you can make. People are obsessed with avoiding losses. They're so obsessed that they find them everywhere. And the problem is the whole equation becomes imbalanced. You know, you have a system in place that wins a certain amount of money, say 50 quid. You chase it and chase it and chase it, and you probably get away with it for a fair amount of time, and then suddenly you lose £1,000 or some ridiculous sum. And the problem that you have with that is that far outweighs the potential profitability or the edge that you have in the process that you're using, or the system, for want of a better word. So the issue that you've got is it doesn't matter how good or however wildly constructed your loss recovery process is, that ends up making no difference to the overall position that you've got, because you may get away with it for a long period of time, but eventually, boom, you will get absolutely slaughtered at some particular point in the future. So it doesn't work, basically, and that's why I don't do loss recovery systems. The funny thing is, it's one of the things that, you know, BetAngel gets asked, the BetAngel support gets asked a lot, and I get a lot as well. People go to me, okay, you do this, and I can see how you make money from there. What do you do if it loses? And it's like, well, what do you mean? What do you do if it loses? You take a loss, you know. All of your winners outweigh all of your losers, and you take a loss. And they're going, oh no, well, I spoke to this guy, and he's got this really great system, da-ding, 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 that when this happens, then you do this. And it's like, okay, so where's the value in that? Well, it isn't. We're recovering a lot. And it's like, no, but, you know, why have you taken that position? The only reason you've taken that position is to try and avoid a loss. And therefore, you're chasing losses. And that is the number one thing that you do not do at all, ever. So, and you know, the problem is, and I'll do another video on this, losses, or the avoidance loss aversion is the words that you are looking for, is the biggest downfall of anybody that's trading, gambling, doing anything, or even playing football. You know, loss aversion permeates the human mind significantly, and it's one of the worst things that you can pay attention to. Like I said, I'll do a video on it, but basically when you're doing a loss recovery system, that's what you're doing, is you're trying to chase your losses, and you're going into loss aversion mode, and that nearly always ends in disaster at some point. So yeah, loss recovery systems don't have any weight with me at all. You know, I bet or trade on something because it wins X amount of the time, and I know that if I look at the losers and the winners, that I'm winning more than I lose. And that's what it's all about for me. If I lose, then it's like, oh well, never mind, you know, well, let's move on. And loss recovery systems of some sort usually involve modifying or changing your stake. So they're eventually doomed to failure anyway, because you eventually reach stakes and it's parts of the process that become intolerable at some particular point, and that changes your behaviour anyway. So yeah, it's just not something that I do at all. In fact, the interesting thing is we try and follow the Gambling Commission guidelines in terms of the way that we design software and market it, and they actually ban you from any loss recovery process. I've noticed there is software out there that allows you to do it, but that's completely against the Gambling Commission guidelines, which is why we don't have that within the product itself. So nobody believes in it, apart from people that are trying to make some money and desperately want to avoid a loss. But anyway, that's my thought, my views on loss recovery systems. If you're interested in learning more about BetAngel, its tools and the opportunities they present, then why not visit betangel.com today and download a free trial.